If you're over 60 and still doing a certain routine every day, perhaps without a second thought, you could be putting your health at risk in ways you never imagined. It might seem harmless, maybe even comforting, to stick to the same habits you've had for years. But doctors and longevity experts are ringing the alarm bell, warning that a single overlooked behavior can quietly sabotage your body's resilience, speed up the aging process, and chip away at precious years you could still have ahead. Stay with me until the end, because what you learn here may be the wake-up call you need to break free from a pattern that's silently working against you. Imagine Linda, a 64-year-old retiree who starts her day with a few cups of coffee, followed by hours spent sitting in her favorite recliner, scrolling through her phone or watching television. She feels a little stiff in her joints, but assumes that's just part of getting older. Besides, she's earned the right to relax after decades of hard work, right? Yet Linda has no idea that her daily routine of prolonged sitting, barely getting up except for meals, could be shrinking her lifespan by years. By the time Linda began feeling real fatigue and persistent back pain, she'd already fallen into a cycle that made it harder and harder to stand, stretch, or go outside for a walk. Her doctors later revealed that this seemingly harmless pattern was draining her muscle mass, weakening her heart, and even increasing her risk of depression. If you're listening to this and it sounds uncomfortably familiar, you're not alone. Countless seniors past the age of 60 have fallen into a similar trap, a daily routine that erodes their health without them even realizing it. But it's not just about sitting all day. Some older adults go to the opposite extreme, pushing themselves too hard in ways that lead to injury or chronic pain. Others rely on habits like late-night snacking on sugar-loaded treats, or they stay up far too late binge-watching shows, believing they'll just catch up on sleep later. Over time, these behaviors quietly accumulate damage. It's one thing to enjoy yourself, but it's another to unwittingly sabotage your own longevity. What is it that makes certain everyday habits so dangerous for people over 60? Doctors say our bodies become less forgiving with age. The extra slice of pizza at midnight, the hours spent hunched over a smartphone, the daily dose of stress from negative news. All of these could have had minimal impact in your 20s or 30s, but once you cross 60, your body's capacity to repair and rebound diminishes. Your immune system weakens, your circulation slows, and your bones need more gentle care. The margin for error becomes narrower, which is why seemingly small choices can have a major effect on your overall health and lifespan. Let's talk about Frank, a 68-year-old who never missed a day of heavy yard work or intense weightlifting. He figured that the harder he pushed himself, the younger he'd stay. That belief led him to ignore the warning signs: knee pain, back spasms, and shoulders that constantly felt sore. One morning, Frank woke up with such severe lower back pain that he couldn't stand up straight. Doctors discovered a serious spinal issue that required surgery and months of rehabilitation. Frank's overly aggressive exercise routine, done without proper stretching or rest, had accelerated the wear and tear on his joints and spine. Instead of extending his healthy years, he was forced into a long recovery that has significantly impacted his mobility. On the other end of the spectrum, there's Anne, a 73-year-old widow who finds comfort in nightly bowls of ice cream and chocolate bars. She figures she deserves this treat, especially after a day of feeling lonely or bored. Doctors warn that excessive sugar intake after 60 can rapidly increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. Anne eventually started noticing constant fatigue and frequent urination, classic red flags for diabetes. By the time she sought medical advice, she already needed medication and strict dietary changes. That one daily indulgence became a gateway to more serious health complications. But it's not all doom and gloom. The crucial point here is awareness. If you're over 60 and suspect that something you do every day might be placing a silent burden on your health, you have the power to change course. The first step is to identify the behavior that poses the biggest threat. It could be physical inactivity, overly strenuous exertion, excessive sugar consumption, chronic stress, or neglecting regular checkups. Once you figure out which area is your blind spot, you can begin taking small, manageable steps to reverse the damage. Let's explore why sitting for too long, for example, is particularly detrimental after 60. When you remain seated for hours, your body's calorie burn rate drops to a near standstill. Your circulation slows, and your muscles basically switch off. This can lead to weight gain, weaker heart function, and a decline in your ability to stay steady on your feet. Doctors have linked prolonged sitting to a higher risk of osteoporosis because your bones aren't getting enough weight-bearing activity to maintain density. Meanwhile, your joints can stiffen, increasing your likelihood of falls. As you age, falls become more dangerous, often resulting in fractures that can lead to a rapid decline in overall health. The frightening part is how easily this pattern can sneak up on you. You think, "I'm just resting," but that rest can become a habit that fosters frailty. Another hidden threat is chronic stress. You might be retired, but that doesn't mean stress disappears. Worrying about finances, mourning the loss of loved ones, or facing health uncertainties can trigger a constant stream of negative emotions and anxiety. When cortisol levels remain elevated over time, your immune system weakens, your blood pressure climbs, and you become more vulnerable to heart issues. Stress also messes with your sleep, which is crucial for cellular repair and mental clarity in older adults. Think about Susan, a 62-year-old who took care of her ill mother while also helping babysit her grandchildren. She was constantly on edge, barely sleeping, and rarely pausing to recharge. Susan ended up with severe hypertension and migraines that became a chronic problem. It wasn't until her doctor pointed out the deadly toll of unmanaged stress that she realized the cost of her daily routine. We also can't ignore poor sleep habits. Many seniors believe it's normal to get by on just a few hours of rest. But sleep is when your brain consolidates memories, your immune system recharges, and your tissues repair damage. Skimping on sleep raises your risk of dementia, weakens your ability to fend off infections, and can even fuel weight gain. Henry, at 65, started watching late-night movies every evening until 2 or 3 in the morning, waking up groggy around noon. At first, it felt like a harmless indulgence, but soon he noticed difficulty concentrating, higher blood pressure, and an overall loss of motivation. Doctors emphasized how crucial quality rest is, especially as your body ages. Another everyday behavior that can shorten your life is ignoring hydration. It might sound trivial, but many older adults don't feel thirst as strongly, leading them to consume far less water than they need. Dehydration can exacerbate kidney problems, contribute to urinary tract infections, and raise the risk of blood clots. Think of Robert, a 70-year-old who ended up in the ER with dizziness and confusion, only to discover it was largely due to dehydration. Once he started tracking his water intake, he felt a dramatic improvement in his energy and focus. It's a simple fix, but only if you're aware of the hazard in the first place. Let's return to physical activity, but approach it from a balanced perspective. Total inactivity is harmful, but so is overexertion. If you're over 60, you can't rely on the same exercise routines you had in your 20s. Your body requires more recovery time, gentler strength training, and mindful movement. Trying to lift heavy weights or run miles every single day can lead to overuse injuries which become harder to bounce back from. The sweet spot is moderate, consistent exercise, like brisk walks, gentle yoga, swimming, or cycling. These activities keep your joints mobile, muscles engaged, and blood flowing without pushing you to the brink of exhaustion. Beth, who's 66, transitioned from marathon training to daily walks with a neighbor, plus light resistance exercises. She found she remained strong, flexible, and far less prone to aches and injuries than when she was pushing herself to the limit. Now consider your dietary choices. If you're over 60 and still indulging in processed foods every day, foods loaded with salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats, you're quietly undermining your longevity. Heart disease remains a leading cause of death for older adults, and a high-sodium, high-sugar diet is practically an engraved invitation to hypertension, clogged arteries, and obesity. But it's not just your heart at risk. A chronically poor diet can speed up cognitive decline, diminish your gut health, and weaken your bones. That daily bag of chips or sweet pastry might feel like a small pleasure, but it can carry long-term consequences. Making a shift toward fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein sources can work wonders for your energy, mental clarity, and overall lifespan. Loneliness is another factor many don't immediately consider as life-threatening, but doctors warn that social isolation significantly increases mortality risk. If you're over 60 and spending day after day with minimal human contact, you might be chipping away at your own health. Loneliness is linked to higher rates of heart disease, stroke, and depression. Brenda, at 71, moved to a new city after her husband passed away, hoping for a fresh start. She ended up living in an apartment building where she barely knew anyone. Weeks would pass without meaningful conversation. Her health declined swiftly, with rising blood pressure and frequent bouts of sadness. Only after joining a local senior center and reconnecting socially did she see dramatic improvements in her well-being. If you catch yourself isolating, remember that a small effort to reach out to old friends, community groups, or a volunteer organization could add years to your life. Let's talk about posture and mobility. Many older adults shuffle, slump, or drag their feet simply because it feels easier than standing upright. But poor posture can affect blood flow, breathing, and joint health, while also contributing to back and neck pain. Over time, these imbalances worsen, making everyday movements more difficult. You might notice that climbing stairs leaves you short of breath, or that you can't walk as far as you used to without discomfort. Improving posture through simple exercises, such as core strengthening or gentle Pilates, can help you maintain better alignment. If you correct these postural issues now, you may be able to avoid a cascade of pain and declining mobility later. We've covered plenty of examples: sitting too long, going too hard physically, ignoring hydration, consuming too much sugar or processed food, letting stress take control, neglecting sleep, isolating socially, and adopting poor posture. But how do you actually break free from these routines if they're so ingrained? The key is incremental change. Pick one area that resonates with you the most. Maybe you realize you're guilty of spending hours at a time in front of the TV, and set a tangible goal. Stand up every 30 minutes to stretch or walk around the house. Or swap one sugary snack a day for a piece of fruit or a handful of nuts. Once you see the benefits in one area, you'll be more motivated to tackle others. You might wonder what truly shortens your life without you realizing it. It's the routine you no longer question, the comfortable pattern that seems harmless but is silently undermining your health. Perhaps it's skipping annual checkups, assuming that you'll notice if something is wrong. But many age conditions like high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and early-stage cancer start out silently. By the time you have obvious symptoms, the problem can be much harder to manage. Getting regular screenings, blood tests, and physical exams can catch these issues early, giving you a much better chance at effective treatment. Some seniors also overlook the importance of mental stimulation. If you're over 60 and you're no longer challenging your mind, you might be speeding up cognitive decline. Engaging in puzzles, reading widely, learning new skills, or even taking up a new language can strengthen neural pathways in the brain. Dorothy, 65, joined a chess club even though she'd never played before. She found herself more alert, more focused, and generally happier because she was constantly learning. Studies show that consistent brain engagement can reduce the risk of dementia and keep your mind sharper well into your later years. Let's highlight something else that may come as a surprise. Negative self-talk or a defeatist attitude can be a life-shortening habit. If each day you wake up telling yourself, "I'm old, I can't do anything," or "it's too late for me to make changes," you're reinforcing behaviors that contribute to decline. A can-do mindset, on the other hand, encourages you to try gentle exercises, to reach out to friends, and to follow your doctor's advice about diet and medication. The mind and body are deeply interconnected. Studies show that maintaining a sense of purpose, like volunteering, mentoring younger folks, or pursuing a creative passion, can prolong life and boost happiness. Now, let's address one of the most overlooked obstacles. "I've done it this way for decades, so why change now?" This mindset can be dangerous precisely because you've never felt an immediate consequence. But as you grow older, the delayed effects of certain habits catch up faster. That daily glass of sugary soda might not have harmed you at 40, but at 65, It could be the tipping point that pushes you into a diet. That lifelong avoidance of strength training might suddenly result in a hip fracture from a minor slip. Change is not about reversing the past, but preserving your present and future. Every single day counts, and the body has an incredible capacity to heal and adapt when given the right conditions. You might still be wondering which specific habit is the worst offender. The truth is, it varies from person to person. For one individual, daily smoking is obviously the main culprit. For another, it might be all-day immobility or a silent accumulation of stress. But the unifying theme is complacency, doing something daily without questioning its impact on your 60-plus-year-old body. That's what truly shortens your life without realizing it. So take a moment to reflect on your daily rituals. Do they uplift your health or quietly undermine it? Remember that it's never too late to implement changes. Even small adjustments can lead to significant benefits. If you're prone to sitting all day, you can begin by standing while you talk on the phone or pacing around the house during commercial breaks. If you rarely see friends, schedule a weekly coffee date or join a hobby group. If your diet is high in sugar, start reading nutritional labels and experimenting with healthier recipes. Consistency is crucial. Embrace the mindset that you're in charge of your well-being and your life can take a profoundly positive turn, even if you're well into your 60s or beyond. Let me share a final story. Roger, who spent nearly 40 years working in an office, felt he'd earned the right to do nothing in retirement. His days involved sitting in front of the TV and dozing off. One day, after nearly dozing through an entire afternoon, he found he could barely stand up without his knees aching. He realized how weak and stiff he had become. Instead of giving in, Roger started small. He took a short walk each morning, just a block or two. Over time, he added light stretching in the afternoons. Then he reduced his intake of processed snacks and added more fruits and vegetables to his meals. Within 6 months, he felt stronger, more alert, and more in control than he'd been in years. His doctor noted improvements in his blood pressure, cholesterol, and weight. That transformation might never have happened if Roger hadn't recognized that his do-nothing routine was quietly stealing years from his future. Hopefully these stories and examples give you clarity on how one seemingly harmless daily habit can quietly shorten your life. Whether you identify with the folks who never move off the couch or those who push themselves too hard, it's time to be honest with yourself about what your body truly needs. If you have aches and pains, if your energy levels are sagging, or if your mood is constantly low, don't just shrug it off as normal aging. Investigate your daily routine. Look for the subtle behaviors that might be undermining your vitality. Speak with a healthcare professional who understands geriatric care. Ask friends or family to help you stay accountable. And remember, the goal isn't to become a super athlete at 70. It's to preserve and enhance your quality of life so you can continue doing the things that bring joy, whether that's playing with grandchildren, traveling, gardening, or simply waking up with energy and curiosity for the day ahead. If you've stayed with me this long, it means you're serious about avoiding the traps so many older adults fall into. You've probably had moments of recognition, those flashes of, "I do that too." Perhaps you're already thinking of how you can change. Don't let that motivation fade when this video ends. Commit to at least one positive shift, and do it today. Replace an unhealthy snack with something wholesome, stand up and stretch every hour. Turn off the TV earlier and go to bed before midnight, or schedule a catch-up call with a friend to tackle isolation. Even a single step forward can spark a ripple effect of better health and longer life. Thank you for investing this time to learn about the hidden dangers lurking in your everyday habits. If you found this video informative or eye-opening, share it with someone else who might need the same wake-up call. By sharing, you can help a friend, a sibling, or even your spouse recognize that they too deserve a healthier, more fulfilling life, even well past 60. And if you've got questions, personal stories, or advice of your own, feel free to share them. Hearing about real-life experiences can inspire others to break out of their comfort zones and reclaim control over their health. You don't have to accept a gradual decline just because you've reached your 60s. Plenty of seniors embark on new adventures, develop new passions, and maintain robust, active lives. The key is staying vigilant about the daily habits that can sabotage you. Whether it's chronic inactivity, excessive sugar, mental neglect, or any other harmful pattern, Today is the day to bring it into the light and take action. Your future self will thank you, and your loved ones will be grateful to have you around, healthy and vibrant, for as long as possible. Wishing you strength, clarity, and the determination to live each day to its fullest. Remember, age might slow you down a bit, but it doesn't have to define you. Take care, be well, and keep moving forward in ways that honor your body's wisdom. You've got this, and I'll see you again very soon.